Hey guys, in this video I've got Jerry and his wife, and they are back after 2 years. We initially did an interview when they were back in the States, and they are now living in the Philippines, and we're going to check up on them and see where they're at and how they're doing. Stick around. Okay, thank you guys, Jerry and Nelma, for being back on the channel again. It's been 2 years, I think.
Yes.
About 2 years. So when we talked before, you guys were still living in the States, and at that point you were planning on coming over.
Right.
But the whole lockdown, it was kind of, even though you were married, it was still kind of a...
It still was, yeah, it was an adventure getting here. So
yeah,
we had talked, it was during COVID, and you know, you were doing interviews with other people, and we said, yeah, we'll talk with you. And we were locked down in America. It took us about a year longer to get here than expected, even though we are married, because Philippines changed, you know, their regulations and stuff like that many times. But we waited that out, and we got here a year ago.
Yeah.
And
we're happy living here in the Philippines.
yeah, you've gone through some adventures of almost losing a toe, and we won't get into that. You can see that on Paul's channel.
Yes, Paul documented that.
Yeah. And so since you've came here, you've moved around a few different places, and you've kind of settled into one place. So
right.
You started off where, in Valencia?
Yes. Yeah, again, we came here. We are married. We were in America for 6 years. So our plan was to come here, get stable, buy a house and stuff like that. We moved to Big Rock, where Paul lived for a while, right?
Yeah, stayed there for 7 months, and we moved to another place again.
Right, that was fun because, again, it was a little bit of a party scene and stuff like that, and I wasn't used to that.
Sure.
But that was fun for about 3 months, and then it wore thin.
Yeah.
And then we moved to another place with bedrooms, because we have the daughter and stuff, our daughter, Kaya. And stayed there for 6 months. And during that whole time, we kind of got established. We bought a car because, again, I don't ride trikes or a moped or scooter.
A little small for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The one guy that I got into a trike with, he looked at me and he's like, So
that'll be double the fare.
That's right. Yeah. And I hope the trike makes it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're now settled. But now, when you guys came out, you were already budgeting for a house. You had a budget for a house. You had a budget for a car.
Yeah.
All these things were planned out.
Yeah. And again, hopefully with enough money. You know, we had talked about other videos that came out recently, and it is a good story to tell. I planned a certain budget each month, and I had enough money for a house that I wanted to buy, because we do want to buy a house and have that stable, car money, airplane money, and even an emergency medical fund, because, you know,
we don't know.
Not the peak of physical fitness. So we did that. I don't have any income coming in, but I had a set amount of money that's, you know, more than the $30,000 that somebody else came with. But again, we've stuck to that plan. You know, each month has been under a certain budget. We bought a car within that budget. We purchased a new house within that budget. And you could see that video on, what's the channel?
On our channel, which is Jerry and Nelma living in the Philippines.
No,
sorry.
Jerry and Nelma in the Philippines.
Jerry and Nelma in the Philippines.
Stole the name from Gio.
In the Philippines.
Well, I think in the Philippines, I think there's probably a lot of channels.
I didn't mean that. It just it was kind of obvious.
And I'll put the link in the description for people to check out.
So again, it's important to stick to that plan, right? I haven't deviated from that. I've had people ask for this, that, or the other. It's just a no to that.
And we know just recently somebody who has got quite the story. And this was a guy who had a set amount of money, and he couldn't deviate from that whatsoever. There was no
Right.
room for deviation. There was no room for an emergency.
Yeah.
Which is, as we know,
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. You have to,
Something's going to happen, and so you got to have
right.
medical emergency things like that.
And again, you can't give away half of that to build a house for somebody or something like that.
No. So now, so what kind of preparation did you do before, when you knew you were coming out here? How did you guys prepare?
Yeah, again, I'm pretty anal about things, so I researched everything. I read everything I could about the Philippines. I think I know more about the Philippines than some Filipinos. Just the culture, the history, things like that. Definitely did that. Watched all the videos. I started watching you at the beginning. You know, Rike, Paul, other people out there, just to see what you guys have done. I listened to some advice. Definitely didn't listen to others.
For sure.
You know, I married her fairly quick. Moved her to America. Everybody says not to do that. Bought a house. So.
Here.
But again, we're pretty stable, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and looks like everything's working out. So.
Hopefully, well, you know,
And
time will tell.
are being here now over a year.
Over a year.
Are there anything? Is there anything that you actually miss from the U.S.?
No, I don't. Well, addresses.
Oh, addresses. Yeah.
There's no addresses here. That is kind of my pet peeve.
Yeah.
That's really about it. Some of the food, obviously, everybody says that, but you know, not that much.
Yeah.
What do you miss? I think you miss some things more than me.
Shopping.
Shopping.
But you know, it's different. The shopping there are times that they are on sale, unlike here, right? And that's what I mostly do.
You were
and
into that coupon
couponing.
stuff. She
I
got
did a
us
lot
such deals, free stuff so much.
Yep, I miss those because they don't have coupons here or stuff.
Oh, no coupons. Yeah, they don't do coupons.
Yeah,
here.
no.
Yep.
Not really.
I mean, you could get basically free. She used to send big boxes to her sister to sell here of stuff that she basically got for free.
Yeah, I have many stash when we're
I know.
moving.
Whole closet full of stuff. 100 shampoos.
And what are some of the things that you actually like about here?
I mean, I love the freedom. I mean, that is number one. I don't have to go to work anymore. I don't have anybody telling me what I have to do. I can do basically what I want to do. And that's the ultimate freedom here. Even though maybe I'm not technically as free in the Philippines than I am in America.
Sure.
You know, but that is the ultimate freedom that I can do that.
It is.
I love the people here. I love where we're at. Again, you had mentioned, you know, the central location. We haven't done a lot of that yet because, again, our goal was to get established, and you know, we looked for a place for 8 or 9 months and did things like that. But now we can enjoy some of those things. We've got it set up, so now we can go to Sigihor and other things.
Place.
Yeah. You have any place at the top of the list that you want to go
Well,
to?
next Sunday we're going to see your daughter.
Manila, Pangasinan.
In Manila?
Yeah.
So,
Not 6 hours away. What's the name of it again?
Pangasinan, alam mo
Pangasinan. 100 Islands is
100
what.
Islands.
oh, I've heard of that place. I heard that it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her other daughter is there living with her father, and we haven't seen her
7 years.
7 years.
Wow.
I know, it's
That's
crazy.
going to be an emotional time for you, I'm sure.
I think so.
And
So that-
exciting.
Yeah, and that should be the first place we go, but you know, definitely going to go all over the place.
Yeah. Excellent. So, back to like finances, because we saw this recent video of things you shouldn't do. What kind of advice would you give somebody who's moving out here if we're talking about?
Again, I don't want to tell anybody what to do because I don't want to be told what to do myself. But I mean, clearly, you need to have a plan. You need to have a good plan, and you need to probably, if you're not sure, go over things with some people. Like I did ignore Rike's real big about cash income coming in all the time. He says that a lot. I don't have that. but I planned good enough. I budgeted. We went over the numbers so many times, you know, to make sure. And again, I have an exit plan. If it gets bad enough, I have an exit plan. I do have a sister that would put an airplane ticket on a credit card for me if I absolutely had to.
Yeah, she will help for sure.
Right. She'd let me live in her basement too, you know. You have to have something like that. And again, your budget can be your budget. You know, if you're only making $1,200 in America, I don't know how you're going to live off of that there. You can live here easier on $1,200.
Sure.
But you just have to make wise decisions. You know, you can't give half of that away. And, you know, whatever emergency fund, you can't, don't buy a house, don't buy a truck. And I'm not telling you what to do, but those things are not smart, right?
Right. And you got to have a plan B, and you have to, what's the word? You can't wait till you have 20 pesos in your pocket to say.
Absolutely.
Which this John guy had about.
Right. And you hear stories like that, you know, there's other people out there that.
Yeah, we were talking earlier how you can actually get stuff here. Like I talked to a guy recently, he had missed one visa extension, and all of a sudden, so you're one visa extension behind, plus you have a late fee, and then the next month comes, and all of a sudden you're delayed again, and then there's another late fee, and then you can't afford a plane ticket, and then you're here illegally, and I knew a guy, he's been here illegally for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think he could afford to leave, even if he wanted to.
Right.
And establishing yourself back in the U.S. I mean, what do you think that would take?
Well, obviously, that's that is a big problem too, for people that don't have somebody there that might help them out. So, I don't really know what you would say to that. You're going to be stuck there, you're going to be stuck here, but at least you have some opportunity, you know, to get a job, to earn some money, to do something. You're not going to do that here.
No.
So make sure you get there before that comes. And you're so right, because the BI fees will double in a month or two if you're behind, just because of the fines, and then you're really a problem. You got to make that move before it gets to that point.
It's all about preparing before you get here.
Absolutely.
Not trying to figure out how to make income once you get here.
That's right.
Yeah.
You had said that too, because you came here and did the online tutoring at some point too. But you set that up beforehand, right?
Before, I was already doing it.
And you knew that you could do it, and you knew what you were going to get from it and stuff like that. I've heard many people come here with that plan, and it doesn't work.
Well, this John guy, I actually had helped him to referred him to an online teaching job, but he never got the job. Yeah, you got to get that stuff before you get here.
Yeah.
Just like you guys were preparing and did everything before you got here. So, yeah. And do you see yourself staying put then? I mean, you got the house now, so you're going to stay put in this area?
Again, when I decided to come here, it was going to be permanent unless something clearly was against, what I wanted to have. But I have a beautiful wife. I have a great, loving family.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's no problems here. She might get tired of me.
What would you do, Jerry, if you had some kind of medical emergency at that point?
Again, I went through that with my toe. I'm diabetic. I am working on a diet to try to do that, so don't rough me up in the comments too much. But I do have a medical fund. That was part of that I set away, that is clearly earmarked for that emergency. And again, in the Philippines, I think it would cover most everything.
Sure.
If I had some cancer or something that can't be treated here or something like that, I would probably make the move back. That might be the only thing that drives me away.
Sure.
Other than that, if something hits fast, it is what it is. Heart attack takes me. I'm gonna die, and And again, I even have planned for those things. I've told her what to do, make sure that, you know,
Sure.
don't let the hospital keep my rotten corpse in the hospital. I don't care. It doesn't, don't spend
Nobody's
any money
right,
doing
yeah.
any of that stuff. Just
Yeah.
let it go.
Gotcha.
But again, you should plan for that and be on a finite budget. Other people have income coming in, so they can get away with a lot less money for
Sure.
certain things like that, as long as they have enough income to pay their bills each month, and maybe even put away some like you do
Sure.
each month. So that's different. For me, I have to have that ahead of time to prepare for that.
So you're 56 right now,
Yes.
and you plan on collecting social at 62. You'll take it at an
Absolutely
early stage.
right.
Yeah.
So our plan was, again, in America, I would have had to work for the next 10 years. I had a mortgage there that I had to pay off, and I didn't want to move, so I would have still had to pay that. But what I did was sold everything. The equity in the house has financed me coming here, so that's the money that I had. And you know, I'm not a spender, so I had savings before that anyway.
Sure.
So that money will hopefully get me to my 401k money, which is there. So I got to make it from 56 to 59 and a half.
Right. Yep.
And then I can live off of that, you know, if I run out of this money until then.
Yeah.
And then at 62, collect, you know, Social Security, and that should take. We bought the house, so I don't have to pay rent, so that should definitely easily take care of our needs and stuff here. And hopefully, we won't spend all of that. So when I do pass away, she should be taken care of. She should have enough money to.
And you got the house now. So.
Yeah, so she doesn't have to, you know, do that. She talks about going back to America when I'm dead, but.
Let's see, honey.
Well, again, that's an option for her because
Sure.
again, we plan. She's a dual citizen.
That's great.
You know, and she could do whatever she wants to. You know, and again, she will have whatever's left of the 401k in the house, and even get my Social Security when you're 62, right?
Yeah, I'm eligible already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you planned out well. That's kind of the plan I have is also to get to 59 and a half, and then mine's a little different. I do have the savings, but I have the income.
Right.
But 59 and a half, collect my 401k, and then 62 Social Security, and then death.
Yeah, and that's a good plan too. So think about these things before you make the move.
For sure. So, well, good catching up with you guys again. We'll have to do this again, maybe in a year down the line or something, or 6 months
That's
down the
right.
line.
A yearly update at Gio's.
Yes.
There you go.
And your channel name one more time?
Jerry and Nelma in the Philippines.
Jerry and Nelma in the Philippines.
Jerry and Nelma in the Philippines. Link will be in the description, guys.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.